Although I love my family, most of the time I don't like my family. Everyone in my family.
Take a breath.
Everybody. I feel like I'm angry at everybody in my family. I don't like my family. If they weren't my family, they wouldn't be my friends.
Someone thought your silence was a joke. Okay, they're used to the old you in the situation. Okay, you guys could be dealing with family members, or you could be dealing with old friends as well. They're used to you handling situations from a more emotional level or emotional lens. Okay, they're not used to you really gaining that composure to say, you know what, is this really worth my time? Is this person playing emotional games? You guys have emotionally divested from the situation. You're looking at the chaos and you're like, you know what, I'm not going to align myself with family chaos. I'm not going to align myself with, past relationship chaos. You're looking at the situation and you're saying to yourself, you know what, this person just sits back in a prideful situation, in a prideful position, okay, and they just want you to take the first move, okay? And you guys are no longer playing that game. You're realizing that the connection is very much so a toxic type of place, and you have boundaries for this person on an emotional level. And with your emotions, you have your emotions completely on tack to know when to give and when to withhold your energy. Okay, and this person, they can't stand that. They're used to the chaos. They like to function in chaos. They like to have emotions going from either direction to see if you care for them in the environment. Okay, this person could just be trying to see where you stand with them. Okay, if this is family, they're like, you know what? Okay, I see you growing. I see that you're moving into another direction in life, and they're looking at you like, you know what? I have to go play the old tactics. Okay, this line energy here. I have to go play the old tactics. I have to go play the silent treatment to see if you're going to respond to me. Okay, they're trying to see, okay, is this person really changed? Is this person really in this place where they're, really setting firm boundaries as far as family dynamics? Okay, as far as friend dynamics. They're looking at you from a very cautious lens. Okay, just because this line, it could be looking at you from a sense of pride, but they're not silly either. They're staring at you to see, okay, you know what? I want to make sure that I'm not overplaying my card here. But one thing about them is they're kind of impulsive here. You got the Panther energy right here. They're realizing as time is moving forward that, with their silence, with their, their 1, 2, 3, 4, I declare a thumb roar with you. Okay, when it comes down to, playing these, chess battles with you, they're losing the game. Okay, they're losing. And not only are they losing the game, because guess what? You guys are not playing. You're in the place of healing. Okay, you're in this healing space, you're in this healing journey, and not only with this silence, you're taking that silence and you're saying to yourself, hey, you know what, I'm going to work on my own healing. I'm going to be in my dark feminine energy, okay? And I'm going to make sure that people around me are getting the nurturing compassion that they need, okay? You're filling your space with people who are on the same emotional type of lens that you are, okay? You're finding people who that you can relate to on a deeper perspective, and you're not filling your your space with people who just want to stir the pot, who want to cause a lot of chaos in a situation. You guys are no longer playing the game with this person, and they're seeing that to get some type of reaction, they have to revert back to their old ways, okay, to hop out of pocket. Okay, so you're going to probably see this person go into this Panther energy where they're just being self-destructive, and they're going to play the emotional victim in the situation. They're like, well, oh, wow, you're not paying any attention to me. Why is it that you have so much animosity with me and the family, or what's going on with our friendship group? We're not really spending a lot of time together. You guys are like, you know what? I expressed to you, because you're taking it back to while you were healing, you knew what to say, okay? That oyster, while you were healing, not only were you growing in your own accord, you were also looking at situations in your past saying, okay, you know what, how do I address these things when they come back to my, attention? Because with this person or these individuals, they're always going to circle back around, okay? And with them circling back around, you are prepared to give them a tongue lashing to let them know where they stand, okay? So you're taking your stance, and okay, you're embracing this tiger energy, you're embracing your feminine energy as well, to say, hey, you know what, I'm looking at this from a deeper level, and I told you once before, I'm not settling for, emotionally, chaotic behavior. You guys are like, I'm not playing the emotional ghetto games. You guys are not playing those emotional games. You're like, if we're going into triangulating in our relationship, we're going into, lying in our interactions, okay, this is not healthy. I'm going to remove myself from the situation. And you're like, I'm not playing the whole, silent treatment game with you guys. When I remove my energy, I'm good, okay? And with this person, they're going to be, or these group of people, like I said early on, they're going to be very, in the space of unbelief. That's for one, because they're trying to whitewash the situation to get you to operate in their past type of lens when it comes down to you really feeding into their ego, okay? They're used to you feeding into their ego, okay? They're used to getting their ego stroked by you so many times in situations, and you guys are like, I'm no longer playing that game with you. I'm not playing the game where I'm rubbing your back where you're doing crazy, chaotic behavior, okay? I'm not playing the game with you where you're sort of bringing a lot of self-destructive behavior to family dynamics, okay? You guys are seeing what this person is, and you guys are saying, hey, to yourself, guess what? If you're not changing, guess what? I am emotionally divesting from this situation. Hey, I'm cordial. I got love for you, but guess what? We're not going to be hanging out on a daily basis if you're bringing chaos to my front door, okay? If you're causing a lot of emotional upheaval on my front door, if you're causing a lot of chaos with my kids, okay? Some of you guys, this could be affecting your kids. Like I said, these could be, like I said, their grandparents, and they're in a situation where they're trying to give that same type of chaotic energy to your children. You're like, you know what? No, we already had that, level of stagnancy with our own relationship. You're not going to bring this chaos behavior, to my grandkids. You guys are in this space right now where you're really looking at this person from a very practical type of lens, okay? You're taking your emotions out of the situation, especially the ones that are very much so highly reacted towards this individual. You're like, you know what? I'm no longer going to be highly reacted towards you. I'm not going to be in a space where, you're looking to, read my emotional psyche, which you just sort of taking that silent treatment perspective. And like I said, in the past, this person could have did that silent treatment behavior with you guys, and you guys could have really had an anxiousness when it came down to having their approval with you. You guys are now no longer in the space where you're reacting towards their silence, okay? You're seeing that they're playing a lot of emotional games, and you guys are in the space where it's like, okay, with my healing, I learned the tactics. And guess what? I learned how to navigate in situations that no longer serve me, okay? I learned how to identify toxic behavior and family dynamics. And guess what? With me identifying that, I'm not going to, be stuck in this back and forth chaotic behavior with this panther energy, okay? And like I said, they could be in a space where they're just sort of kicking themselves. They're trying to play that victim card, but they're not even, allowed to step one foot into your direction with that type of chaos because you check it immediately. You already let this person know, hey, we already had this conversation. We already, discussed as far as my particular boundaries with communication, okay? When it comes down to disrespect, you guys are not feeling it. Okay, and this person knows no matter how silent this person goes, or no matter how silent you are, your boundaries and your consequences stand strong. Okay, one thing about it is though, you guys are not playing about your consequences with people who disrespect you in your environment. Okay, if that happens, you guys are like, hey, you know what? Hey, no love lost, but guess what? You're not going to be in the same space or the same spirit with me and thinking that that's going to be okay. Okay, this person's learning hard lessons. Whatever age you're learning it, okay? They could be, like I said, older age or younger age. You're telling them from a very, slow and steady, calm space, hey, I'm no longer taking the drama, okay? I'm no longer taking the emotional, chaotic, the emotional ghetto behavior, okay? I'm not playing any type of mind games with you, okay? If we're going to be on that accord, guess what? I'm going to remove my energy back, okay? We can still be cordial, but guess what? You're not going to be close to me to have my inner peace going all amok in the situation, okay? You guys are no longer going to have this person twist you in every direction, okay, just because they're not in a peaceful space, okay? And the main reason why they're not in a peaceful space with you is because they really want to go back to that old way of being, okay? That old chaotic, toxic way of being, okay? And you guys are just seeing this person in this powerful space. You're like, hey, you know what? I'm not trying to give you an ego stroke for your pride. If we're not in the same mental space together, then guess what? You can leave that pride at the door because I'm just going to get my stuff, move on to my own particular journey, okay? Give you the attention that I delegate to you, okay? But it's not going to be more than what you're looking for, okay? Like I said, guys, It's all about boundaries. It's all about, really looking and taking the time to really get that emotional healing, to understand what situation you place yourself in, okay? If that situation is not for your benefit, now you guys know how to move, okay? Let's go into your tarot deck a little bit here to see some further insight. Okay, let's see. We got the Chariot card here, the World in reverse. You guys are not playing. This person wants to rush to you. We have the Two of Wands in reverse. Knight of Wands. Okay, King of Pentacles. So you guys sitting pretty. Let's see. Seven of Wands in reverse. Okay, Three of Cups. And Queen of Cups. I'll pull two more cards here. Two more cards for you guys. We had the Eight of Pentacles. You guys working on your own business, working on your own peaceful time for yourself. I'm pulling all of those. Here's some more. And Wheel of Fortune, okay? I'll end with that card there. Let's get started. So we got the Chariot card here, guys. They're trying to rush towards you because they're realizing that the world is stopping, okay? They're realizing that, okay, you know what? With me being gone, okay, it's not going into my manipulation plans, okay? They're seeing that, the old way of doing things is over, okay? That cycle has come to a close, okay? With them rushing back to you, okay, this lion energy, they're realizing that, hey, the cycle that you guys were in before, that's over and done because you guys are no longer waiting for this person to make amends. Two of Wands in reverse, okay? You're like, this is all about this energy here, this Panther energy, okay? They're all about the show. Okay, they're all about, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do this again. They like to this person has no type of emotional regulation, okay? So when it comes down to their emotional regulation, it's way off, okay? So when they go off and have these shows, then it's like when they calm down, then that's when they want to come back around to you to say, okay, I'm sorry, this is not going to happen again. I was going through A, B, C, D. After the second, third, fourth time of that, you're like, yeah, we're no longer having that, okay? If you can't regulate your emotions, guess what? I'm not going to be in this energy trying to, pacify you to understand that this is a problematic issue, okay? You got the Knight of Wands. So they're trying their hardest to break through your boundaries, okay? You're sitting pretty in this King of Pentacles. You're not even looking at this person, okay? They're not even coming to you as a king or a queen, okay? So they got this fire energy, okay? And it's like this low-level behavior, this fire energy, okay? They're all about, let me just try to get a reaction, and it's all about let me make the apology, but they're not really working on making the overall investment to something healthy. And guess what? That's where you guys are sitting on. Because this oyster energy and this tiger, which was you early on in this reading, it's all about cultivating, understanding oneself, really taking that time to see, okay, what makes me tick? What are some boundaries that I need in situations so I can navigate successfully with people? And you guys took that time and you turned into that King of Pentacles energy, okay? This is energy now. So, you guys took that time and really regulated your past. And you're like, I'm looking at my past. I'm looking at my emotions, okay? You're not being in a space where you're overly hard on yourself. You're like, hey, I learned. And that's about this tiger energy is all about, really embracing that dark feminine energy to say, hey, you know what? While I was in that situation, I learned. Did I handle everything correctly? No, I did not. But through that process, I was able to really understand what makes me tick, okay? What are my deal breakers, okay? Taking your time to really close yourself off from the situation and really say, okay, you know what really is going on here? You guys took your time to really identify what type of mess is going on with this lion energy here and this panther energy here, okay? You guys are like, I'm no longer being in a space where I'm going to be confused about, my situation with this, panther energy. I know where they are. I know what they're doing. And this person's not going to have me on this wild, wild race, when it comes down to really navigating their emotional well-being. You guys are saying, hey, it's a no for me, okay? You got the Seven of Wands in reverse. You're avoiding the chaos. You're avoiding the conflict of the situation, okay? This person really wants you to get back into that space where they're throwing you off guard, okay? You guys are basically curving the argument, okay? And some of you guys are really curving the apology. You're like, hey, you know what? All is well, okay? The direction that we're going into in this new season is going to be a little bit limited. It's going to be a little bit different, and you laying it out, okay? Because you already know what this person can take, what this person is able to bring to the table on an emotional level, and what they're able to, give you in a peaceful type of space for yourself. And you guys like, nothing much, okay? You're like, you're not really my peace on a daily basis. So with you being sort of chaotic on an emotional type of level, let me just sort of pull myself back and regulate how I approach you and regulate how much time I give you, okay? And this person, like I said, they're hurting because it's like, for them, quality time is all about raising hell. Quality time is all about doing arguments, okay? They're used to the toxic web of confusion, okay? And guess what? You guys are in your happy space where you got your Three of Cups and you got your Queen of Cups, because not only are you growing on that financial level, okay, you're willing to invest your emotional energy to people who match you on an emotional level, who match you on an investment level when it comes down to developing your core friendships, core relationships, okay? If this person was the S of your past, you're like, you know what, I'm going to put my emotions to people who are willing to grow with me on a romantic type of level, okay? You guys are really seeing what's the best fit for you, okay? And I think one thing about this past energy, they looked at it from a very traditional type of lens where it's like, okay, well, I've been around you for the longest time. Surely you should accept my chaotic behavior. And you guys are like, no, I'm going to be building by myself. I'm going to be building in my quiet energy because I know that I'm able to get to my next level and I'm able to be happy with people who are on my same type of pathway, okay, that have a similar understanding as far as how I am as a person, that has respect for me. You guys are not tolerating people who are going to disrespect your time and also your energy, okay? You guys are looking at them from a very strict level, okay, to say, hey, we've been through this conversation. We've been through this ups and downs. If we're not changing with each other, then guess what? We need to really take a seat back to say, hey, this is the space that we need to allow for us to really grow in a successful type of manner. We need to sort of have a level of distance in our interaction, okay? If we're not able to successfully be in a room together to have positive conversations, then guess what? Hey, you know what? Here's a Christmas card. Here's a holiday card in the mail, okay? Here's a little conversation just to check in with you, okay? But you guys know when to come to this person to say, hey, let's fellowship, and when to leave them alone, okay? If they're in this space where they're not really growing, you already know for yourself, hey, I'm going to leave this person alone because they're not going to turn my world upside down, okay? You guys are very strict on how your environment is for yourself, okay? You're not going to have chaos in your environment when it comes down to your overall growth process because you're in this place where you're growing. You're learning about yourself and you're growing, okay? And that's the healthiest thing for you to do, okay?
Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant. Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant.